Hello and welcome to our vlog entitled What I Didn't Know About S4HANA. Today we're focusing on procurement and all aspects of it. And this will include things like the SKUs you'll need if you're going to move from ECC to S4HANA, licenses and subscriptions, support, database and infrastructure requirements. Welcome. My name is Martin Hope. I'm the VP of Business Acceleration at Evosys. The background to this blog came out of a webinar series that I've been doing recently called Look Before You SAP. I'm joined today by a very special guest, Tatiana Artajona, who was recently the ERP transformation manager for a large telecoms company and has gone through the implementation of a significant multi-country implementation of S4HANA. Welcome, Tatiana.
Hi, thank you.
Today, we're going to cover quite a large subject that basically comes under the banner of procurement. We're going to be covering such areas as SKUs and why they're important to you, licensing, support, information about that database change that you're going to have to go through to S4HANA, and also the infrastructure. So if I could perhaps open it to you, Tatiana, and if you could just put in perspective, you know, the areas that you saw that got impacted from a procurement perspective.
Yeah, thank you, Martin. Yeah, definitely. I think procurement is big and people are not expecting how big it can be in this kind of project, right? First, because, yeah, as we talked about before, it's a different database. So your previous database is not, whatever it was, is not being able to use anymore. You have to get the new database, but you have to get the new license as well for the new products. But the infrastructure is exclusive as well. So you need to change the boxes, as we will say, but you need to change the database and the application that is running on top of it. And yes, and there is I guess people have done a big investment in the past, right? And we know when you are on premise, we are talking about an on-premise world. When you are on your on-premise world, all these assets, they need refreshments. You know, once in a while, every 3-5 years, you need to refresh your hardware. You need to renew your license. So as part of, if you decide to migrate or in a journey to migrate to S4HANA, then all those need to be considered. And as we mentioned on our first conversation, it's a re-implementation. Yeah, it's not just an upgrade, it is a re-implementation. And part of the re-implementation, the procurement team has to be part of it because it's big. Yeah.
Yeah. So what areas do you see that procurement element covering? Because, you know, procurement play an element in all change, don't they? Anything that's got a cost associated to it. And I'm sure from our viewers' point of view, they're interested in, oh, what is going to be the impact? Because I suspect they think they know, which is, you know, we're changing from ECC to S4HANA. But what are the nuances? What are the bits that you didn't realize you'd find when you started this process?
Yeah, and again, because of my personal experience, but as well because of many peers. Yeah, that of course they have been trying to look at, and I have seen so many different contracts, which is it's funny, right? So you have your capex license, but on top of your capex, you know, you have to pay an annual maintenance fee, and that maintenance fee covers patches, the new TLS or tax legal requirements that they are part of apply. And I have seen difference from 18% to 22%. You know, not everybody has the same kind of contracting. Not everybody has the same kind of discounts up front, right? It depends. I don't know. I have seen so many that it's kind of like, to me, every contract is unique. But I guess you really need to work closely with your procurement department because, again, some of the definitions in your contracts are different. So what a name user is to you as a company, maybe it's not the same that is for other companies. And I didn't know that. I have no clue. Just when you start talking to other companies, it's like, oh, really? That yours? Which it makes then a difference.
So just to clarify, named user definitions could be different by contract.
It can. I have seen difference. Yeah, I have seen, because again, how do you run your interfaces? What kind of user? Because that's not a person.
Oh, so you're talking about indirect usage, the famous indirect
But it's
usage.
not that, yeah, yes and no, because that one can be indirect or not. It depends of how your contract is. And again, that's what you really need. And these things, I don't know how the procurement guys that I have seen, they have different way of looking at. You read one of the contract and you don't know what it is, but they really understand what means every of them, right? And it's that you really need to work closely with your procurement guys, because then you don't want surprises later on that the way that you contracted is going to create you different cost later.
Yes.
And you mentioned indirect usage, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's not a secret to anybody, that there is a big thing about going what it is indirect, because it's not in the contract. That's a policy. That's a separate policy that exists. And again, it's how do you access your data? How do you change your data if you manage data in or out of your SAP environments? How are you accessing? So there are legal way, let's say, of doing it that doesn't get you into troubles. But yes, I guess going back to what a possible program to migrate means, you need to look at which one is your infrastructure. Are you running it in your data center? Which one is your database? You need to buy your database. And then, of course, you need to buy the new SKUs. And we know as we speak, new SKUs are being developed. Yeah, because part of the
I think our viewers be really interested in that, because most of them would be thinking, well, I'm replacing SAP with SAP.
no.
So well, they will. I would think that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. S4HANA, and we know S4 is the new product for finance, specifically for the core ECC. So that's the new product for that. And let's be honest, is a I have seen people that got it for free just because it is a matter of take it and implement it and use it. The database itself, that one is a separate license. But then you could do your BW, so business warehouse, you can put BW on top of HANA. So you bought a new database and you run. But then there was a new product that was BW for HANA. That means BW reading from HANA, that's a separate SKU. So you need to buy a different product for that. Because again, the software is being written differently. So it's a software that is made, or it has been built and designed to work on a column database. I have read, and I think by 2023, the HR on-premise modules are going to be rewritten as well, which means it's a new product, it's a new SKU. So again, it's a re-implementation to new products. So this product has been developed from scratch, and of course they're going to be sold. We are talking about on-premise. So again, we are talking just about your on-premise.
Just to pick up on that, because it's not really a procurement issue today, but you're saying that by 2023 there are going to be alternative options for HR.
That's what I have read, and I have read on SAP blogs. It's not, but on the SAP website there is a success factor, which it is on cloud. That's fine, but there is going to be a new version because some people they want to stay on-prem. Some people they are not cloud ready, or they just don't want for X or Y reason. So SAP had to do something for them, right?
Okay.
So yes, that's
So you've talked about SKUs, you've talked about licenses, a bit of support, and given that sort of that spread of support contracts that you've seen, the database, the change in database and infrastructure. What would, now you know what you know, what would your advice be to customers when they're approaching this? Because there's a myriad of things here that procurement need to be aware of and mindful of, isn't there? I mean, there's a lot of contracts here. We're not just talking about a single sign-off, single implementation, are we? It's it's convoluted.
Yeah, and again, I'm sure there are many things we don't know yet, right? But at least the ones we know, we have seen. We go back to the purpose, Martin. Why are you doing it, right? And I have seen people that they have an issue with the data center infrastructure, and that's a problem because it's kind of like the whole refreshment of the infrastructure and public sector as well. There is a big kind of like, guys, we really need to go so many people are very, very cloud oriented because they want to move to a software as a service. And we have got many customers that they are starting to move their SAP environments to our Oracle infrastructure as a service as a first step, because they are looking to solve a particular issue, which it is the big capex to buy assets. And they want to get away from that capex profile. And that's one way of doing it, right? And again, it depends which problem you are trying to solve, if any. So yeah, start with infrastructure as a service, which can be an option. You can be out of support. I always try to make the analogy when you buy a house. If you buy a house and if your electricity is not compliant, the house is yours, right? Unless someone come and have to do an inspection and do something, maybe you have to change. But you could be out of support of what you don't get patches or new tax, legal, or statutory requirements. You could. It's an option. Not that we are recommending people to do that, but we have seen customers, they have done it because they just cannot keep paying the maintenance. Again, you pay that maintenance fee that you pay on a yearly basis, which is OPEX. That's what it gives you, right? Is that peace of mind, and they need new tax, legal, statutory. If you are looking to move, we have seen some conversions as well. Some people are looking to do a hybrid, part on-prem, part of cloud. You need procurement for that. Because then again, which one are your all SKUs that you are not going to use anymore? Can you do something about it? How can you go and rationalize your support and maintenance? Because many people are paying for modules they don't use, just because your contract tied you to, you bought it. I don't care if you bought a house that is 6 bedrooms and you are using only one. You have to pay council tax. It's kind of like you bought a capex. You have the full house. You need to pay the maintenance for the full house. Again, do you want to reduce your OPEX profile? Then start looking at which one are the options that gives you that. And again, I think many of the customers we have seen and moving to a software as a service model, that's one of the main problems they're trying to solve, right? It's like, I want to be able to scale up, scale down. I need more users, I need less user, and I need that flexibility because I want to reduce my cost. Then you go to a software as a service that they give you full end to end.
And I suppose it also defrays all those center of excellence costs, doesn't it? That support infrastructure that you've historically had to have in place with your ECC system, which, even if you go to S4HANA with business technology platform, you've got that same challenge of skill set, internal skill set or external skill set to manage and to fund.
Yeah, and it's very good that I think definitely we should talk about people next time because that's a very interesting topic. Coming from 20 odd years implementing SAP, and some people say, "Oh, you don't ask the turkey for the Christmas dinner," and it's not. Unfortunately, it's not. Those center of excellence that you have, when you talk about software as a service, your role as IT can be so exciting because you are the one who understands technology, right? And it's not, you are not going to lose your job. It's not. That's not the case. You are going to change, as I always say, from being the reactive person solving problems that the business comes to you like, I have a problem, solve it. It's immediate. And then the business, oh, IT take longer. IT doesn't give me solutions quickly. But you need to switch. And you can be that one saying, this is how to exploit technology. And we have been having those conversations with several customers. And it's kind of like, yes, wow, yeah, it's true. Because it's true, you still need people within the organization that understand technology. It's just a different profile, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, you need people who understand the business, and they certainly understand the business. But what they get used to is having to serve the business from a basis perspective and keeping the lights on. And if you can defray that to the vendor, as you can with Oracle Fusion, then you then got that opportunity, as you say, to stop being reactive and start being proactive and start adding value, extra value to the company. Because
absolutely,
that technical debt that everybody talks about, and sort of, moves across it and goes, oh yes, well, everybody's got that. But if you can get rid of that, then you can start being proactive, as I say. You can start using disruptive technologies to get you to where you want to be. And there are a lot fewer barriers in the way of doing that now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, going back to procurement, when procurement is helping to put business cases, there are many of those components that are not considered, right?
Yes.
Is the long-term view, and is again, you really need procurement next to you because they understand contracts wording, which that's definitely is a skill on itself. But is that which one are those components, right? So all the people that are doing your infrastructure today, all your teams, if we link people with that, again, they still have a role in the organization because which one is the right vendor? Yeah, how do you evaluate which one are your technicals and not technical requirements, security, and all of that? You still need that know-how, but you want to be flexible. You want to be able to swap from vendor one to vendor two tomorrow. And who is the only one that can evaluate those bits, right? You still need that people. But procurement targets, procurement objectives is always to buy the best for the company, right? And to buy it at a good price to get good value for that. And then is that I think flexibility is difficult to measure, but it has to be one of those tick, 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 tick. Am I getting married with someone here completely? And which one are the exit strategies or not? And we have been talking to customers about that. And someone once mentioned something that he say, this was a finance person, and he say they don't take any decision that it doesn't have an exit strategy. And I found that brilliant, right? Because it's
Very, very
nowadays,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, nowadays you really want that. And again, if you go and buy hardware, and we are talking about hardware that is very expensive because it's exclusive that can be used for HANA and the database, if you are going to buy it as a capex, forget about an extra. You are not going to be able to sell it tomorrow, right? If you need to, for example.
No.
But again, I think procurement really has a very, very important role.
But you're absolutely right. I mean, tying it back to the business case, the total cost of ownership, there are a lot of elements that you wouldn't necessarily think about when you're thinking about a replace from the same vendor. You'd expect
exactly.
it to be clear, straightforward, and it clearly isn't. I mean, you've talked about SKUs being different, and therefore we've got an issue with training. You've got licenses, you've got support, you've got the database, you've got infrastructure, and I'm sure there are other areas that we haven't touched on. I think clarity and openness here, to enable you to build that total cost of ownership and the business justification are really, really key. And from our perspective, I think that enables you to move forward with something like Oracle Fusion, that enables you to have a clear path, to have a clear understanding of what the costs are today and what they're going to be moving forward, so that you know what that TCO is, and you're not unaware, you're not surprised, shocked, or your business case gets blown out of the water because of something you just didn't expect.
Yeah, predictability, right? You want your costs to be predictable. You want to know how much it's going to really cost you. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Absolutely. So I just wanted to thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Again, it's been really illuminating on a what could often be considered a dry subject, procurement.
Yeah.
Personally,
I found it fascinating. Yeah.
I always find it fascinating. That was I was going to say. So I thank you for that. And if anybody would like any further information, my name is Martin Hope. You can get me at Martin, martyn.hope@evosysglobal.com. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Martin. Bye.